Hello and welcome to Britain Fights Back. During August this year, in a speech in the Downing Street Garden, our newly elected Prime Minister Starmer said, "There's a 22 billion black hole in the public finances." Earlier that day, we heard the Labour Party chair, Ms Reeves, mention the same figure. Reeves, where have I heard that name before? Seem to be a few Reeves in the Labour Party. I wonder if they're related. And a quick search on any search engine tells us yes, Ms Reeves and Rachel Reeves are sisters. Well, I never. What are the chances of that? Starmer and Ms Reeves, the chair, not the Chancellor, are referring indeed banking on an announcement in July made by Ms Reeves, the Chancellor, not the chair. She said an audit by the Treasury had discovered this 22 billion forecast overspend this year. So she's saying we're 22 billion in debt this year. Okay. Yet just before the election, the Institute of Fiscal Studies said a new government coming in would likely see a shortfall of between 10 to 20 billion by the tax year of 2028-2029. So let's do a fact check on this 22 billion black hole. In the spring budget for 2024, we learnt 1. Economic and fiscal outlook. In the last 4 years, the economy has been buffeted by external shocks, including COVID-19 pandemic and Putin's illegal invasion of Ukraine. These shocks have made life tough for people in the UK, but the economy is beginning to turn a corner. Don't forget, the spring budget 2024 was put out in March. For the next few lines, it's basically blah, 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 yada, 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 until we get to section 1.4, which states, public sector net debt, excluding the Bank of England's underlying debt, falls as a share of GDP in 2028 to 29, with 8.9 billion headroom. Public sector net debt, in brackets headline debt, a broader measure, falls in every year from 2004-2025. As Parliament went into recess, the now Chancellor Reeves and the previous Chancellor Hunt were catapulting accusations at each other about the state of the public finances. But an analyst at RBC said, in reality, the largest single item of spending pressure in this current fiscal year was actually pay awards for public sector workers that the Chancellor, that's Ms Reeves herself, has agreed to since taking office. Pay rises for the public sector, which came in at between 5 and 6%, cost Chancellor Reeves £9.4 billion, whereas departments were giving funding for a 2% rise at the last spending review in 2021. The second largest portion of the fiscal gap, we are told, come from normal reserve claims. Reserve claims are essentially rainy day funds which are set aside for unforeseen circumstances. The Treasury says 8.6 billion has been spent on normal reserve claims in just 3 months. although to date it has not given a breakdown of this spending, and we really would like to see the receipts for this figure. Asylum spending was the third largest contributor, coming in at a whopping 6.4 billion. Other funding pressures come from a range of different policy areas. For example, 2.9 billion is needed to support the railways. 1.7 billion goes to support Ukraine, and 1.5 billion for pressures in the National Health Service. In a statement to the House of Commons, Ms Reeves, that's the Chancellor, not the Chair, announced she needed to make spending cuts worth £5.5 billion. The Chancellor also announced cutting the winter fuel payments from millions of pensioners, which she estimated would save £1.4 billion this year. This, she said, will see the number of households eligible to receive the winter fuel payments falling from 8.4 million to 1.5 million households. She told the House of Commons, "These are not decisions I want to make, but they are the right decisions in difficult circumstances." In September, Health Secretary Wes Streeting claimed 3 times in Parliament in 1 week that previous Labour governments had overseen the shortest waiting times and the highest patient satisfaction in the health service history. He said, "I could call on any number of Labour health secretaries who helped deliver the shortest waiting times and the highest patient satisfactory in history." These comments were reported by PA and detected by Full Facts, a facts-checking service. Full Facts stated, "We fact-checked these claims from prominent Labour politicians a number of times before. As we said previously, it's not clear what a claim about the shortest waiting time in history would be based on. Waiting times don't appear to have been recorded nationally until 1987 and have been measured in different ways ever since." If Mr Streeting meant to refer to the size of the waiting list, then these have also been measured in several different ways since the NHS was founded, and experts at the Nuffield Trust have told us that they're not aware of any data that will allow a direct comparison of this sort. Likewise, we've been unable to find a consistent measure of patient satisfaction across NHS history. Public satisfaction with the NHS began to be measured consistently in 1983 and reached its highest point in 2010. They went on to state, "We've contacted Mr Streeting's office and will update this blog with any response." I mention Mr Streeting's claims only because without doubt wards could fill up this winter with elderly people suffering from cold-related illnesses, and for sure their hospital stay will cost the NHS a lot more than 300 quid. The Department of Work and Pension have shown some 27% of pensioners set to miss out on the winter fuel allowance are aged 80 or over, a total of 2.8 million. Dennis Reed is director of the Silver Voices campaign group, and he says, "The scrapping of the winter fuel payment must rank as one of the most disgraceful and immoral decisions ever taken by a Labour government." He said, "They are very disturbing figures. It shows that those most in need of the winter fuel payments are going to get clobbered by this policy." He continued, "The universal payment was £300 for everybody over 80, and this payment recognised the fact that if you're over 80, you're much more likely to suffer very badly from the cold. Ms Reeves, the Chancellor not the Chair, said, "If you claim pension credit, you will receive the winter fuel allowance, and therein lies the rub." To claim pension credit, you need to live in England, Scotland, Wales or Northern Ireland. You must have reached state pension age. You must have a weekly income below £218.15 if you are single, or £332.95 if you're in a partnership. If you're in a partnership, both partners need to have reached state pension age, which is 66 for both men and women at the time of recording this. Okay, so here comes the maths. Let's say you're single. The full rate of the new state pension is £221.20 a week. So if you are on the new state pension, you cannot claim pension credit because your pension of £221.20 takes you £3.05 over the allowance this government have decided you can live on. This is the end of today's video, and I think tomorrow we should look at hospital care for pensioners. As always, may I please ask you to subscribe. This is a new channel and we need your support. If you could, please press the like button. That helps something called the algorithms. Thank you very much. Bye for now. We'll speak again tomorrow.